Hi, and welcome back to the Locker Around the Clock for the AFC NFC Championship weekend. This is great. It's so awesome. It's like an emotional pendulum. It's the crescendo of the season going into the Super Bowl, and yet it's the end of the season, which makes a tear come to my eye every year because, well, the Raiders aren't in it. But not only that, the last game coming up, it will be the Super Bowl, and then we're done with football until the draft and the OTAs and the preseason and the training camps and all that good stuff. But it's kind of sad because it's the end of the season, but it's such a powerful ending. And we have the Final Four, one of the greatest Final Fours ever in championship weekend history, I think, right here. And we're looking to go 2-0 with our picks this week against the spread. And we're going to start it off with the Green Bay Packer game. Green Bay going into the Georgia Dome for the very last time ever. The Georgia Dome is the very last game for the Georgia Dome for the Atlanta Falcons to be playing there. Are they going to put on a show? I'm sure they will. Both of these defenses are very, they're at the bottom of the pack as far as pass defense is concerned. And Aaron Rodgers has been putting on a clinic these last couple of games. We've seen in the past when he said relax, right? And they went on a tear. Well, now he said we're going to run the table. Not only did they run the table, they took the table and flipped the table, just like Jim Everett in his Jim Rome interview years ago, if you guys remember that. Chris Everett, you remember that, right? Anyway, look for the Green Bay Packers to come into this game. Now, I know everybody likes the over. It's a very high over. It's 61.5. And I think, you know, in everybody's opinion, it's going to be a big shootout, and it probably will. But you got to remember, too, these defenses are playing well also. Dan Quinn has the Atlanta Falcons playing a better level of defense than they ever have. Green Bay, even though they're nicked up in the secondary on defense and they're not the greatest against the pass, they have been playing better. They've been getting some turnovers. They've been stingy against the run, as we saw in Dallas a week ago. They were able to hold their own and let Aaron Rodgers move in and especially out of the pocket, where Aaron Rodgers had like a Yoda-like force connection with his receivers, keeping their feet in bounds. Toe drag swag, as they like to call it. Nate Burleson on GMFB, Good Morning Football, one of the greatest morning shows you'll ever watch. You guys should check them out. I'm plugging them because I watch them religiously, and it's a great show. It's a feel-good show every morning with football. But either way, Atlanta will not be able to contain Aaron Rodgers the entire game, and we've seen Aaron Rodgers move the ball with Cook, with Cobb. Ty Montgomery has been leading all running backs in the postseason, which is incredible, the whole story behind him. This is a closer game than people are going to give it credit for. It's going to be a shootout, of course. I don't like the total to go over as much as everybody else does. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game, but my pick in this game is the Green Bay Packers plus the 5.5. This game could come down to a 24-20 Atlanta lead with about 2 minutes left, and Aaron Rodgers carries his team as usual down the field. The next thing you know, it's 27-24. Time runs out, and the Green Bay Packers go to the Super Bowl. That is what my prediction is. Aaron Rodgers is looking great. He's on fire, like his Allstate commercials will attest. And you know, it's funny, not that this really matters, I don't think, but it's kind of coincidental. Peyton Manning was the only other quarterback I know that does an insurance commercial. And what happened? He went and won a Super Bowl, right? And took off into the sunset, the cowboy, the sheriff, whatever you want to call him. And now he's a Papa John's guy. But anyway, listen, the Green Bay Packers, it's the 3 o'clock lock. The Green Bay Packers plus the 5.5. Take it and ride into the sunset all the way to the Super Bowl at the NFC Championship game. That is what I got for them. Going to the 7 o'clock lock, or as close to 7 o'clock as we can get. It's the second game of the night, the AFC Championship game, which is going to be another great matchup. The Pittsburgh Steelers going into Gillette Stadium. Doing my best Chris Berman voice. Heading into Foxborough, this is a huge game. As Ben Roethlisberger, last time we saw him here for a championship game was in 2004. This is one of the big, or 2010 rather, this is going to be one of the greatest games of the day. I actually like this game better. I think there's going to be a lot more defense involved in this game. The offensive line, the controlling of the ball, the running game. Pittsburgh is getting 6 points in this game, which is a lot of points to be giving to this offensive line. This offensive line should control the game with Lev Bell, as we've seen him go over 100 yards so far every game in the playoffs. New England, look, They haven't played a lot of teams, and I know we've heard this before, that have a quarterback. They haven't even played really good teams. They got 2 games against the Jets, 2 games against the Bills, 2 games against Miami, and Miami usually gives them a hard time in one of those games. But they were able to beat these teams handedly. They played Cleveland. They beat Cleveland handedly. They even beat the Steelers early in the season, but that was when Large Benjamin was out of the game. He wasn't even in there. Landry Jones was in there, and they beat them. Who did they lose to? And at home, the Seattle Seahawks. What do the Seattle Seahawks have? They got Russell Wilson, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league. And they were able to beat New England. Now, their defense isn't quite exactly as good as it was in the past. Is it favorable with Pittsburgh? I don't know. But Pittsburgh, in the last couple of weeks, they have created turnovers. They have been stingy on defense. Bud Dupree has been playing great. Cockrell, Gay in the background, in the backfield, in the cornerback positions. They have been playing very well. They have been dominating teams and holding them. The game last week in Kansas City, I think, was a big test. And to be honest with you, Pittsburgh kind of dropped the ball, even though they won that game. Look how many times they were in the red zone and should have came away with at least 3 touchdowns on a couple of those possessions, but they didn't. They were playing in sub-degree temperatures. It's going to be a little bit more warmer, balmy, if you would say, in the 40s up in New England on Sunday night. But Pittsburgh should be able to move the ball. This offensive line is very underrated, and it's going to give many problems to the New England Patriots in the way that it's going to keep Tom Brady off the field. By keeping Tom Brady off the field, you keep the points off the board. Pittsburgh's got some really good special teams. They have a good defense that is coming on. Like I said, they're clicking at the right time. Roethlisberger has at his disposal a great set of wide receivers led by Antonio Brown, Mr. Facebook. Lev Bell, receiver out of the backfield, and also one of the most incredibly fun to watch running backs out there. The difference is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line in this game. They're going to keep Tom Brady off the field, and they're going to be putting up points. If you watch the game New England played last week against the Houston Texans, the Texans, with the #1 defense, of course, wound up giving Brady headaches. They gave him problems in the first half, and if the Texans had any kind of a quarterback, like, say, Derek Carr, not to homer there, but if they had any kind of a quarterback that could have put up points, the Houston Texans would be playing right now against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We all know it. But they didn't have the quarterback to do it. They weren't able to put points on the board. They weren't able to complement that defense. Pittsburgh has the best balance of defense and offense to take on the New England Patriots. This game here, I look for a 24-17, 24-21 game by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look for the Steelers to cover this game plus the 6 and punch their ticket to the Super Bowl against Green Bay. That is what I like for the week. Those are my 2 locks. The Green Bay Packers plus the 5.5. The Pittsburgh Steelers plus the 6. Yes, I'm going underdog on this, but I'm going on it for a reason. And the reasons I just stated, they have the way to win. They have the quarterbacks to win. They have the experience to win and the offensive lines to win. Those are my picks, and until next week, when we in 2 weeks rather, when we go to the Super Bowl, I'll give you all my predictions. My dog Stockton will be able to give his predictions as he always does. Look for that video; it's always fun. Until next 2 weeks from now, take it to the book, take it to the bank, and as always, you take it ace.